Hello, this video will talk you through the process of commissioning a PowerShaper home energy management system. I'm Richard Lane. I work in the energy systems team at Carbon Co-op as an energy systems engineer and developer. Carbon Co-op is a non-profit community energy cooperative based in Manchester. We pioneer community-led deep insulation retrofit and smart energy systems. PowerShaper is one such system. It's a pilot innovation project looking at a model of offering domestic demand-side response at a community level using low-cost and open-source systems. If you'd like to know more about the project, then please have a look at powershaper.io. And we periodically run webinars about the service. So if you want to find out when those are running, dates for those and more, and about Carbon Co-op itself is on our website at carbon.coop. But if you're watching this video, you'll probably already know about PowerShaper. Perhaps you've already enrolled on the PowerShaper service and you're carrying out remote commissioning as you live outside of Greater Manchester or York. Or perhaps you're interested in doing so in future. You may have already had, or you will soon get your Wi-Fi enabled smart EV charger and immersion relay controller installed by our partner contractors. Perhaps we've posted your PowerShaper welcome kit containing your all-important home energy management system, which we're going to call HEMS in this. Once you've done all that, if you've got your hands on all the kit, you're ready to start the remote commissioning process and connecting everything up. This 5-minute video will show you how that process works. Okay, so let's have a look at what this kit looks like. This is the EMON EVSE electric vehicle charger. It should be mounted on a wall near you. And this is the immersion heater relay controller. This is the HEMS, the home energy management system. And that's where we're going to start the process. So the first thing to do is to get your HEMS powered up and get it an internet connection. Now that needs to be done physically with an Ethernet cable. The ideal, of course, would be to do it right next to your router. Just keep it there out of the way. But do bear in mind that it will create a Wi-Fi hotspot, and this will need to be able to reach the other devices that we've installed, your EV charger and or your immersion switch. So it may be necessary to experiment with where you can put your HEMS in the house such that it can reach these devices. The easiest way of doing that is to get a laptop or a mobile phone and find a spot where you can pick up the Wi-Fi hotspots that each of these devices will create. It is Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere at this point. So if you get your phone, just look at the available Wi-Fi networks. The immersion switch will create a Wi-Fi hotspot with an SSID that starts with Shelly M, and the EVSE will create one starting Open EVSE. So once you've found a sweet spot, set up your HEMS there. If it's a long way away from your router, then you can save having Ethernet cables trailing throughout your house by using a powerline adapter such as this one. Other powerline adapters are of course available. Now this sends Ethernet over your domestic mains, so you effectively have an Ethernet connection on every plug power socket in your house. So once that's connected up, once you've got your HEMS there, flash it with a red power light lit and your green Ethernet light flashing away. Then check that you can connect to the Wi-Fi hotspot that it should create itself. It'll take a minute to do so. The SSID and the password for that are written on the bottom of the HEMS. So if that works and you can reach the internet through that Wi-Fi hotspot, then we have a happy HEMS and we can go on to look at the other devices. So we'll start with the immersion switch. As I've said, this puts out a Wi-Fi hotspot of its own, which has an SSID starting with Shelly M. So go up and connect to this using a laptop or a mobile phone. There will be no password required. There won't be the internet connection through it, obviously, but you should be able to reach its own interface by going in a browser to 192.168.33.1. You will see this screen. It can be slightly different depending on firmware version. You might want to check here that if you press that little switch button that you can hear the Shelly relay clunking on and off. That shows that the relay is under the control of the switch, which is great. And then what we need to do is connect it up to the HEMS Wi-Fi hotspot. So where you see under Internet and Security, you get their Wi-Fi mode client. Drop that down. You will see settings for an SSID and password, and those will be the ones that you've entered to get into the HEMS hotspots. That's the SSID and the password written on the underside of your HEMS. Enter them in there, save that. Your the smart switch should then reboot, and that hotspot, the new hotspot which starts with Shelly M, should disappear. If that's happened, great. we can move on to the EV charger. So next up, the EVSE connection. It's a very similar sort of process. Again, it puts out its own wireless hotspot. So you need to connect to this with a mobile or laptop. The SSID will be something starting with OpenEVSE. It will have a password this time. The default password is just the word OpenEVSE, all lowercase. So once you've connected to that, you can then navigate in a web browser to http://192.168.4.1 as shown. And that will then give you an interface on the OpenEVSE, which shows you the list of Wi-Fi networks that it can see, and hopefully your HEMS will be in there. Well, that's the one that starts C Corp, HEMS, and then some numbers. If you can see it, select it, enter the password. Again, that's from the bottom of the HEMS, and hit save. The system will then reboot, and hopefully that will then connect to the network, and you will get a new IP address flashes up as the system restarts. It should start with 10.42. something. If it hasn't connected, then it will continue to broadcast its Wi-Fi hotspot, and it will flash up an IP address starting 192.168. If that's happened, then you probably haven't managed to connect it to the HEMS, and you may have to look into moving your HEMS closer to the EV charger. But hopefully it will have done that. The local hotspot, the OpenEVSE hotspot, will have disappeared, and then that means your EV charger is connected up. And that's all you need to do. Once all the systems are talking to each other, then we can communicate with your HEMS directly and complete the rest of the process remotely. And that will involve connecting it to our system, which then sends the instructions out to your devices to switch off during a DSR event. Don't worry, you will of course be notified about that. You have the option to get text messages and or emails. I think by default you'll get both. And you can change that through the PowerShaper Hub, and you can also, if you want to, opt out of any events that are upcoming through that interface. We have a separate video about the PowerShaper Hub and about these events. You can find links to those in the description below. But that, hopefully, was a relatively painless process for you. Many thanks for watching and for being interested and participating in PowerShaper, and we look forward to being in touch with you again soon.